The year is 2025. The American education system, a cornerstone of our democracy, faces an unprecedented threat. Former President Donald Trump, in a move that has sent shockwaves across the nation, has unveiled a plan to dismantle the Department of Education. This proposal, a cornerstone of his 2024 presidential campaign, has reignited a fierce debate about the role of the federal government in education. Trump's choice for Secretary of Education, former WWE executive Linda McMahon, has further fueled concerns. McMahon, while a successful businesswoman, possesses limited experience in the field of education. This lack of expertise raises serious questions about her ability to lead such a complex and vital institution. The potential consequences of dismantling the Department of Education are far-reaching and profound. Critics argue that such a move would disproportionately harm marginalized students, erode civil rights protections, and exacerbate existing inequalities in the American education system. They fear a return to a time when access to quality education was determined by zip code and skin color, rather than merit and potential. Supporters, however, argue that the department is bloated, bureaucratic, and intrusive. They believe that returning control to states and local communities will lead to greater innovation and accountability. To understand the potential ramifications of dismantling the Department of Education, it is crucial to examine its historical role and significance. Established in 1867, its primary function was to collect data on education. In 1980, under President Carter, it became a cabinet-level agency. This marked a turning point, recognizing the federal role in ensuring equal access to quality education. The department enforces civil rights laws and provides financial aid, especially to low-income communities. Programs like Title I and Title III help level the playing field for all students. The potential dismantling of the Department of Education poses a grave threat to civil rights enforcement in education. Within the department, the Office for Civil Rights, or OCR, plays a pivotal role in investigating and addressing complaints of discrimination. From racial disparities in school discipline to unequal access to advanced coursework, the OCR serves as a watchdog, ensuring that schools comply with federal civil rights laws. In recent years, the OCR has witnessed a surge in complaints, reflecting the persistence of inequality and discrimination in American schools. In 2023 alone, the OCR received a record 19,201 complaints, a testament to the ongoing need for robust federal oversight. Of these complaints, a staggering 45% were related to sex discrimination, while 18% involved allegations of discrimination based on race or national origin. These figures underscore the pervasive nature of discrimination in education and the crucial role of the OCR in protecting the rights of vulnerable students. The OCR's power lies not only in its ability to investigate complaints but also in its authority to withhold federal funding from schools that fail to address discriminatory practices. This leverage has proven to be an effective tool in compelling schools to implement meaningful reforms and create more equitable learning environments for all students. Data collection and analysis are essential functions of the Department of Education, providing valuable insights into the state of American education and informing policy decisions. This data is crucial for identifying achievement gaps, tracking progress, and holding schools accountable. Without centralized data, policymakers lack the information to improve educational outcomes. The potential dismantling of the Department of Education threatens to create a data deficit. This could hinder our ability to understand and address educational challenges. Section 5. Funding Fears. The Impact on Vulnerable Communities. The potential dismantling of the Department of Education has raised serious concerns about the future of education funding, particularly for schools and students in low-income communities. While it is true that the vast majority of school funding comes from state and local sources, the federal government plays a crucial role in supplementing these funds and ensuring that all schools have the resources they need to provide a quality education. Federal education funding is often targeted to schools and students with the greatest needs, such as those in high-poverty areas, those with disabilities, and those who are learning English as a second language. These federal funds are essential for providing these students with the support they need to succeed, such as, smaller class sizes, specialized instruction, and access to technology. Without this critical federal support, many schools in low-income communities would be forced to make do with even fewer resources, further exacerbating the inequalities that already exist within the American education system. The potential loss of federal funding is particularly concerning given the rising costs of education and the growing needs of students in many communities. Section 6. A History of Opposition. The idea of dismantling the Department of Education is not new. In fact, it has been a recurring theme in American politics, particularly among conservative lawmakers who favor a smaller federal government and greater local control over education. President Ronald Reagan, during his 1980 presidential campaign, famously pledged to abolish the Department of Education, arguing that it was an unnecessary bureaucracy that interfered with the ability of states and local communities to educate their children. However, Reagan's efforts to dismantle the department were met with strong opposition from Democrats, as well as from some moderate Republicans who recognized the important role that the federal government plays in ensuring equal access to quality education. Despite Reagan's efforts, the Department of Education survived his presidency, albeit with a reduced budget and a narrower focus. Since then, the department has weathered numerous attempts to weaken or eliminate it, demonstrating its resilience and the enduring belief among many Americans that the federal government has a responsibility to ensure that all children have access to a quality education. Section 7. The Paradox of Control. The Trump administration's plan to dismantle the Department of Education while simultaneously seeking to exert greater control over curriculum content presents a perplexing paradox. On one hand, the administration espouses a belief in reducing the federal government's role in education and empowering states and local communities to make decisions about their own schools. On the other hand, the administration has shown a willingness to use the power of the federal government to dictate what can and cannot be taught in classrooms, particularly when it comes to issues related to race, gender, and sexuality. This apparent contradiction has left many observers wondering what the administration's true motives are. Some argue that the administration's focus on curriculum control is a cynical attempt to distract from its efforts to dismantle the Department of Education and undermine public education as a whole. Others believe that the administration is genuinely committed to shaping the minds of young Americans and promoting a particular ideological agenda. Whatever the administration's intentions may be, its efforts to control curriculum content represent a dangerous overreach of federal authority and a threat to academic freedom. Section 8. Case Study, Jefferson County, and the Fight for Fairness. The potential consequences of dismantling the Department of Education are not merely hypothetical. Across the nation, countless schools and students rely on the department's oversight and enforcement of civil rights laws to ensure that they are treated fairly and have equal opportunities to succeed. One such example is the Jefferson County School District in Kentucky, which found itself at the center of a major civil rights investigation by the OCR in 2023. The investigation, prompted by complaints from parents and community members, revealed that black students in the district were being disciplined at a disproportionately higher rate than their white peers for similar offenses. The OCR's findings were damning, highlighting a clear pattern of racial bias in the district's disciplinary practices. As a result of the investigation, the Jefferson County School District was ordered to implement a series of reforms aimed at addressing the disparities in its discipline system. This included revising the district's code of conduct, providing training to teachers and administrators on implicit bias, and implementing restorative justice practices as an alternative to suspension and expulsion. Section 9. A Crossroads for American Education. The potential dismantling of the Department of Education represents a crossroads for American education. The decision of whether to maintain, weaken, or abolish this vital institution will have far-reaching consequences for generations to come. It is a decision that should not be taken lightly, nor should it be made without a full understanding of the department's history, its role, and its impact on the lives of millions of students across the nation. As we grapple with this complex issue, it is essential that we engage in a thoughtful and informed debate, one that is grounded in evidence, guided by our values, and focused on what is best for all of America's children. The future of American education hangs in the balance. The choices we make today will determine whether we create an education system that is truly equitable and just, one that provides all students, regardless of their background or circumstances, with the opportunity to reach their full potential. The stakes could not be higher.